Now, of course, we have to come back and talk about the Eskom issue. And I don't mean the lack of power. I'm talking about the amount of money that is owed to Eskom, sitting at a staggering 50 billion rand nationwide. That's what municipalities owe to Eskom. So now we also understand why NERSA has granted the power utility this 18.65% tariff increase. A lot of that, we're being told, is also going to pay off the debt, not even to the infrastructure. So what does it actually mean for municipalities, and what's it going to do as far as their debt is concerned? Heidi Giokos, always good with the numbers, eNCA reporter, out and about getting different voices on the issue, not just from the not having electricity to the effects on business, but also the financial side on this as well, Heidi. But I cannot begin to imagine how worried the agricultural sector is on this. Morning, Heidi.
Yes, morning, Gareth. I think the big issue here is definitely how everybody is going to try and cope with that 18.65% electricity hike that is expected. It seems as though everybody is rejecting this. I cannot imagine anybody welcoming this tariff hike. We have engaged with Eskom time and time again about how they could possibly be asking for such a high tariff increase, despite the fact that we are constantly plunged into darkness and we experience constant rolling blackouts. But Eskom has reiterated the fact that tariff increases have not been equal, or they have not been spread out over the years, and therefore this is why we are seeing this massive increase. You have traffic lights that are out, you have people stuck in traffic on a constant basis. Now people are also expected to be paying an increase of 18.65%. Every single sector is going to feel this. And before we move into what the agriculture sector is experiencing and saying about all of this, you also have municipalities that have defaulted time and time again on paying Eskom, and then often they are switched off. You have communities and residents sitting without electricity. But what does it say about sectors like agriculture that are critical and key when it comes to food security? How are they going to cope with all of this? Let's perhaps listen to what AgriSA had to say about this tariff increase.
Farmers have been facing huge increases in terms of various input costs. Petroleum or diesel has risen steeply over the past few months. Shipping cost, packaging cost, as well as fertilizer cost has risen tremendously, more than 100% in many instances. So this additional 18% is really putting the margins of farmers under tremendous pressure. What we need to really confront government with is that it's one thing to require of consumers to pay these additional increases, but what about the debt of your consumers in places such as Soweto, your municipalities? That debt currently sits at 60 billion rand. And if Eskom can get hold of those consumers and force them to pay, it will bring great relief to all of us. I think it is so unfair that it is expected of business to fork out the money all the time, whilst other people just don't care. And at the end of the day, all of us suffer as a result of this.
Well, there's an argument, isn't there, Heidi? It's not just necessarily that some consumers don't care, and I'm sure there are consumers who don't care, but there are also consumers who just don't have the money to pay for it, and these sort of increases are a good example of that. Let's move away from the money, though, because I've been trying to wrap my head around, Heidi, I'm sure you have as well, about any kind of short-term solutions. We keep getting told in 4, 5, 6 years we could be on top of this if certain things happen, but short-term solutions, and I keep coming back to the car power ships, and I know the environmental activists got very upset when there was talk of these car power ships coming in, but the other side of the coin, of course, is it could be a solution for the country.
Yes, and I think that's what's needed. We need an immediate solution to this energy crisis, Gareth. This has been going on for almost 16 years. This year probably marks 16 years that the country has been subjected to constant rolling blackouts, and it's just been continuously exacerbated over the last couple of years, with 2022 being one of the worst years of rolling blackouts, and maybe this year will top that. It's just unacceptable that South Africans need to be subjected to this and constantly being told that government is trying to find solutions to this. The Finance Minister yesterday, Enoch Godongwana, yesterday said that it's commendable the work that's been done to try and sort out the energy crisis. There is no work being done to sort out the energy crisis because we are in stage 6 indefinitely, and we know that 11 generators are not working. How do 11 generators at one time stop working? Surely the President needs to understand the urgency of this, and he's going to the World Economic Forum next week to sell the country that most of the day does not have electricity. It's just not acceptable, and there is an emergency for emergency electricity. That's what we need at this stage. And if the car power ship is what is going to provide that immediate solution, then perhaps government is going to have to look into all of that, because the country cannot afford to wait another 5 to 6 years for there to be additional megawatts added to the grid. Already it's been 16 years. Our economy is not growing. Businesses are shutting down. People are losing their lives. And now we must also be subjected to an 18.65% increase. It's just not acceptable. But let's listen to what one expert has to say about the car power ship and how this could possibly be an immediate solution that the country needs.
Car power ships is a good idea for emergency supply over the short term, say 5 years maximum. The problem was that the DMRE wanted to procure gas from car power ships over a 20-year period. And it's a very expensive source of energy. And it's also, we have to pay it in dollars. So that's not something you want to be dependent on for 20 years. Maybe we need it for 5 years. We take the punishment, we take the pain, at least we keep the lights on while we do all the other necessary stuff, in particular an accelerated renewables build program and the decommissioning of the oldest power stations, which are driving up so many of the costs.
Professor Mark Swilling, almost echoing what you're saying, Heidi Giokos. Are we at a point now as a country where emergency power is actually what we need? And car power ship, he calls an emergency solution. But of course, there is the other side, the environmental impact, of course, on this. And maybe that's where this debate goes to next. We can't have it all our own way. We can't have it both ways. Which way does the country need to go? Heidi Giokos with some wonderful insight and views as well. Just like any South Africans, Heidi and I and everybody else that works in television, trust us, we're not having a different experience to you. We also wake up and go to sleep in the dark. We sit in the same traffic as you. Heidi Giokos, thank you very much indeed. I'm no doubt we'll hear from Heidi again later with plenty more reaction to what is now blackout stage 6.